Look, the day is finally here where we're going to have that conversation. And yes, that conversation, I'm not wasting no time with this episode. Put Giannis, all right, in the best player in the world right now conversation. Yes, you can sigh all you want. I've been waiting for this day. It's here. And you know what? It's funny? I'm not going to sit here and say that, I knew they're going to win. But the thing is, Giannis just won the chip after I said if he does, we're going to have the conversation. He did it, and now that day is here. So I'm going to say this, right, real quick. Not only did he win, okay, but he gave us 3 games of the NBA Finals of 40 and 10. When you really put that into perspective, bro, it's almost like, well, damn, maybe, just maybe, this brother is in the conversation for best player in the world right now. Again, in the conversation. But, I understand why people are upset. I get it. There's going to be a lot of folk that say, hey, pump the brakes. No, I'm not pumping the damn brakes. Put him in the conversation. What else does he need to do, honestly? That's the crazy part. You win an NBA Finals. You get Finals MVP. You score 50 in a closeout game. You give us 3 games of 40 and 10. And people still going to say, what are we talking about? What else does he need to do? What else does he need to do? Because, score 60? Huh? Average 70 in the Finals? Is that what it is? Anyway,
You done here?
Anyway, no. Go ahead. Anyway, like I said, this isn't
done
just,
here?
This isn't my show because it's ours. So I'm gonna let you go ahead. Go ahead. I apologize because I know you have certain things you like to say about Giannis. I know the hate and the possible slanders on the way. So proceed.
It's no. First off, I've never slandered Giannis in my life. I think when people get upset when you critique something about Giannis, and then things may happen, and then people may say, okay, well, what about this? What about that? But first off, I want to give a congratulations to Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks because I picked them to win the NBA Finals. Contrary to popular belief, I picked the Bucks to win the NBA Finals. So congrats to them. Now, we had a conversation the last podcast. You said that Giannis should be in the best player in the world conversation if they won a championship. And I'm here to tell you that even though that Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, and Giannis put on a phenomenal performance, one of the greatest performances I've ever witnessed in my eyes, I would definitely say, especially this is probably the first time since I've been watching Giannis. I've been watching Giannis a long time where I can say that he really closed from start to finish, and the eye test really matched the raw stats, and also his impact and aggression on both sides of the basketball court was phenomenal. It's nothing we can take away for what he just did. Game 6 to drop 50 points in a closeout game, and he closed. It wasn't Chris Middleton. It was Giannis. Giannis closed as well. But I will say, for the best player in the world conversation, I will say that still nothing has changed with me. I still think it's LeBron James. I still think it's Kevin Durant. I think, like I said in the last podcast, I think we get caught up in when guys win championships, everybody wants to say, okay, when there's a superstar player, a borderline top 5 player or a top 5 player or top 3 to 5 player, wherever you want to put Giannis in that category, that's up to you. I think when those type of players win a championship, everybody's so quick to say, well, he's the best player in the world. And in reality, it's just not the case. Because like I said in the last podcast, when Dirk Nowitzki won his championship, as great as Dirk Nowitzki is, nobody said he went on the greatest run, in my opinion, in the history of superstars. Nobody said he was in the conversation or even said he was the best player in the world. So shout out to the Bucks. Shout out to Giannis. But once again, I don't feel that even though he just won this championship, I still think it's Kevin Durant. I still think it's LeBron James. I still even think I think Steph and Curry has a case, and even Kawhi Leonard will have a case before Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, we'll say the top 5 argument, I think you have a legit case of now you can say it's hard to take Giannis out of that top 5, especially if you look at it now. It comes to LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Kawhi Leonard. Now you got to add in Giannis over James Harden because James Harden doesn't have a championship. All those 5 guys that I just mentioned now have a championship. So now you got to say that's probably the top 5 players in the world.
Okay. Well, first things first, I want to apologize for saying you slandered Giannis. I know you didn't do that. I know I should never say that. But 2, let me ask something. Are you saying that because of what those players have done over the last 5 years or this season?
I'm saying what they have done. I'm a big when it comes to players, I like to look at a player's history. So consistency. I also like to look in playoff performances. Like this is the first time in Giannis' NBA career, this postseason run that he didn't come up short. That he looked like a shell of himself in a regular season. So that does matter to me. So if Giannis continues to do this in the future, consistent playoff, great performances, then we can start having those conversations. But we can't just do this based off of 1 year of him in a crazy year, in a crazy COVID playoff type of situation, injury riddled type of playoffs, where a lot of things worked in the Milwaukee Bucks' favor, and even in the Phoenix Suns' favor. Because if we're being honest, Theus, are you going to sit here and tell me that if you believe that this Bucks team, as great as they were, if a healthy Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, they probably wouldn't have made the finals. Even if you look at the Phoenix Suns, if the healthy Lakers team or a healthy Denver Nuggets team or a healthy Lakers team, I know you play what's in front of you. You take whatever circumstances that are given. And that's what they did. That's what the Phoenix Suns did. And that's what the Bucks did. And shout outs to them. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, I would like to see Giannis the following seasons or next year when everybody's healthy, hopefully everybody's healthy, go on a run like this, and then we can really have those conversations. But as of right now, I'll say he's a top 5 player in the game. LeBron, KD, Kawhi, Steph, and Curry, and now you got to add Giannis to that equation, and kind of got to take James Harden because, like I said, those guys got championships.
All right, so let's be even more specific then. Let's talk about tiers, because ranking. Okay, you got 1, 2. All right,
he's a superstar.
Right. What I'm saying. So LeBron and KD, are they in the same group, or do you have like
they're
LeBron
in the same
in one?
I would probably say LeBron and KD have always been, for as long as I can remember, 1 and 2. So I definitely say they're in the same tier.
Yeah, well, to me, LeBron has always had his own tier for like the last decade prior to Brown was definitely 1 and KD was definitely 2, but it was clear that LeBron was in 99, KD's maybe like 98 and a half, whatever.
Okay.
Now, I think you can make the case that they're in the same, right, LeBron or KD, but I'm also push Giannis in that conversation. Again, just because of this chip. I know it sounds crazy.
It is crazy.
But considering, but you know what though? You know what it is too? Considering everything else that's happening, again, with this past season, I know what Steph has done before. I know what Kawhi has done before. I know what KD has done. But when we talk about what this man just did and what other players have done over the last couple of months.
You're prisoner in the moment.
Okay, but if the debate is that Giannis is the best player right now, it ain't that too much of a deal if we prisoner of the moment, especially if we talking about Giannis. I'm not talking about, Embiid or no shades. I'm saying no to those guys, the Jokic of the crew. But if we're talking just the best, because Giannis, feel me, he was borderline tiptoeing top 5 guaranteed, if depending on who you ask. But now that he elevated and got that chip, hey, like I said, and to all y'all out there, again, I'm saying he is in the convo. I don't need the LeBron, crazy people telling me, what are you talking about? He's not that. No. But he deserves to be in that conversation. He deserves a seat at the table. So it ain't no more just LeBron and KD.
That's fine, but you can say that if everybody has if you want to go on the quote unquote a seat at the table, if everybody got a seat, if Giannis deserves a seat at the table, then damn.
No, don't get crazy.
Kawhi Leonard, Steph and Curry on the armchairs they sit on the armchairs with Kevin Durant and LeBron James. If that's the case, if that's what we doing, that's what I'm saying. It don't make no sense because if you going off this one championship run with Giannis, as great as his run was, and as great as his finals performance was, he dropped 3 40+ performances in this finals. I've seen Stephen Curry go crazy. I've seen Kawhi Leonard go crazy. I've seen, I've seen Kevin Durant go crazy.
When did you see them do it?
It doesn't matter. They've done it longer and they've done it more consistently. You're basing things off of like I said, you're being a prisoner in a moment. Because I can put it like this: Anthony Davis last year, as great as Anthony Davis was, Anthony Davis, a legit argument can be made that Anthony Davis was the best player in that entire postseason, even though he did not win Finals MVP. A legitimate conversation could have been made that he could have won Finals MVP over LeBron James last year. I didn't hear the same type of talk about Anthony Davis deserves to be at a seat at the table. He deserves to be the best player in the world. That's what I'm saying. So if I'm not going to do that with Anthony Davis, and if you want to go, break things down to a T, you can. It's apples and oranges of like who you think is better between those two. If you think talking about Giannis, you're talking about Anthony Davis. So I think people are going to give the edge to Giannis because he led a team to the finals on his own and stuff like that. He wasn't playing with another top 5 player, so you can give that edge to Giannis. But I'm saying it's just like we got to pump the brakes because I don't think one spectacular run just automatically puts you in the best player in the world conversation, especially when we seen Stephen Curry and Kawhi Leonard not even really get that type of praise, even though they were saying Kawhi Leonard deserved to be after the 2019 run. That was a little bit more understandable because what we seen Kawhi have done with the Spurs and having this entire package catalog. So it's just kind of like, this is Giannis' first run. This is Giannis' first championship. Now, if he goes next year and he does this with healthy teams and has this run and goes to the finals, we can have that's when you can have a conversation, but not just off one run, Theus. Not just off one run.
All right, so let me ask you this, right? And I know this is not what you're saying. This is literally just a question I have for you. Is it possible for a rookie to be top 5?
No.
He has so it requires time in the league. What you're saying?
This is I'm glad you asked
that. I know it's not the same.
And I'm glad you asked that question because there's a lot of people. That's a great question that you asked because people are doing the same thing to Luka Doncic. We saw polls, we saw rankings. Luka Doncic was a top 3, top 5 player on NBA lists, and it was just kind of like as great as Luka Doncic is, it's just like what has he done? You know what I'm saying? And now we're seeing Giannis who has done something. And it's just like, okay, it makes a little bit more sense of you saying like, oh, he can be in the best player in the world. But it's players that haven't done anything, they were saying that. And it's just kind of like, so I can understand you saying that based on this championship alone. But at the same time, it's like, if Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, if they don't even have a seat at the table, not Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry and Kawhi Leonard, if Stephen Curry and Kawhi Leonard, if they ain't got a seat at the table, like damn, it's like they got two rings, Finals MVP.
But now you're talking resume. If once you start talking resume, that leads more into the legacy part of it.
We can talk.
I'm talking about right now, and I didn't want to mention this, but if we're going to keep doing it. One of those gentlemen didn't make the playoffs this year. Another one of those gentlemen is injured right now.
It's a team game, man. What are we doing?
And I agree with that.
It's a team game.
I agree with that. But if the player that I'm defending is at the mountaintop and just gave me 50 in the closeout game in the NBA Finals, and then you debate a guy who didn't make the playoffs, and again, that's not a knock at Steph at all. I'm just saying here the comparisons. That's all it is. You want to talk about what Steph has done in the past, his previous MVPs, the chips, same thing with Kawhi. Cool, we can do that.
Every player that you just mentioned, Kawhi, you said Kawhi's hurt. You said that Stephen Curry hurt, or Stephen Curry didn't make the playoffs. You know what the difference between those two players and Giannis Antetokounmpo is that I've never seen those two players be a shell of themselves in the playoffs before. So the fact that you just saying after one run, Giannis, no, not Kawhi, not Stephen Curry. Because if you're breaking things down to a T, no, that's not it.
No. That wasn't. I didn't do that as to say they have. It's more of I'm curious as to why you feel that way about Giannis. Are you saying that Giannis has?
What did we see last year with the Miami Heat, and what did we see a year before with the Toronto Raptors? That's what I'm saying. You had to give it time. That's what I'm saying. You had to give it time. This is his first.
Last year and the year before.
This is his first. You act like consistency does not matter, and that's not the case when we talk about the best players in the world. LeBron James wouldn't be the best player in the world if he was on and off every other year. If we didn't know what we were going to get for LeBron James, Kevin Durant wouldn't be the best player in the world or be in that conversation if we didn't know in the postseason what we're going to get for what Kevin Durant was going to do. Same with Steph Curry, same with Kawhi Leonard. That's what I'm saying. With Giannis, this is his first big-time postseason run with a lot of circumstances that were in his favor. So let's see next year what he's going to do if those circumstances aren't in his favor and when guys are healthy. And let's see if he's going to really be in that conversation. That's all I'm saying. Give it time. Don't just start rushing things. I'm not saying it's not never going to happen. I'm not going to say he does have the potential, because he definitely does. But at the same time, it's like, we got to give things time. We can't just be like, after one championship, after one run in a COVID playoff, injury-prone playoff, that we just going to sit up and say Giannis deserves to be in the same category as LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and guys who's done it for years and have had excellent postseason runs. I just can't do that. I just don't think that's logical.
And right, that's why I'm not jumping the gun and saying that he's the king of the league or this league belongs to him. That's why I'm not saying that. I'm just
what
saying.
Are you saying? You saying he should be in that conversation?
That is table.
Okay,
he has
and
now
if he's
brought
at the
chair and sat his ass down at the damn table.
If he's at the table, then Kawhi Leonard and Stephen Curry are on the armchairs of Kevin Durant and LeBron James. That's what we're saying. If that's what we're saying, if that's what you want to say, if that's what you want to say, because if you look at it from a resume standpoint, and you look at it from a skill and talent standpoint, then those guys definitely deserve to be at the table because they've done it longer and they also haven't had playoff struggles like Giannis Antetokounmpo in the past. So if that's what you want to do, we can do that.
Well, right. That's why if you notice, I haven't brought up the resume debate this whole episode.
And
mentioned MVPs and
everything. And Anthony Davis at the seat of the table then. Add him too. Add him too. Add him too. That's what I'm saying, bro.
Okay. So give me a case as to why Anthony Davis is at the table. Because now it's a crowded ass table, right? If we're naming like what 6 or 7 people at the table,
it was already a crowded table when you just try to include Giannis.
So everybody got to eat. Everybody can eat. Everybody eat at the table apparently. So how many people are at this quote unquote table? If we're saying, and again, I said best player in the world conversation.
Yeah, that's true. That's what you did.
Anthony Davis is in the best player in the world conversation.
When Anthony Davis is healthy, a legit conversation can be made that he can be the best player in the world. That's
okay,
just
so
a fact.
That's the case.
From skill set to talent
to
what he did in the postseason 2020. That's just a fact. If we're adding Giannis, I don't know if we're not adding Giannis, you could take out Anthony Davis.
Oh, okay.
So
are they a couple? It's like they got to come together. It's not just one or the other. It's either they both there or it's neither the other.
All I'm saying is like it's different. Tough. It's different strokes for different players, and you're acting like what the media is gonna do with Giannis.
No.
They're gonna put Giannis. We're gonna have these conversations. Giannis is the best player in the league. Giannis is this. Giannis is that. And I'm just saying, pump the brakes, man, because after one playoff run, as great as his performance was, it's just like it's guys that's done it longer. It's guys that's been more consistent. It's guys that don't have those same type of struggles that he's had in the playoffs before and never has. So. That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean, look, that's very fair, and it's not to take away anything from the other players, but I just think the way that Giannis elevated his game, and you combine that with the way the other players' season ended, outside of KD, he was wild, but just that's my biggest thing.
LeBron was hurt.
Combine those things.
Kawhi was hurt. Was it LeBron wasn't hurt with a high ankle sprain?
Right. Kawhi was hurt. LeBron was hurt. Steph in playoffs. KD still hooped. Who else? Anthony Davis was hurt. I get all that, but that's my point though. Is the fact that because they are hurt,
he took advantage of this opportunity. Did he not? Okay. Did he not take advantage of this opportunity?
Wording is such a beautiful thing.
Did he not take advantage of this opportunity?
Okay.
Did he not take it? Bro, did he not take advantage of this opportunity?
If that's the way you want to word it, yes. Giannis Antetokounmpo took advantage of the opportunity.
But I don't like what you're doing because you're making it say a better argument that you could have made is that what makes this accomplishment more special when it comes to Giannis Antetokounmpo is that Giannis is this was an argument you could have made that would have probably had more people feel like, okay, he probably could be in the best world conversation because what's special about what Giannis just did in this run and this accomplishment of Giannis winning a championship is he's a homegrown player. He was drafted by the Bucks. He became the most improved player in the league, then an all-star, then a superstar. Now he's a champion, and now he's a top 5 player. And he didn't run from the grind. Similar to players like Kobe, Jordan, Duncan. So we got to give him his flowers, and now we got to say that he can be in that conversation as the best player in the world. That's the argument I would have came with.
No. Trust me. I thought about that, but you know what? By doing that unfortunately takes shots at certain players. That's what it is. If I came out and say, oh, yeah, Giannis is loyal. Giannis stayed with the team that drafted him. If I come
No,
on,
that's not taking. That's not taking. I don't think that's taking.
automatically,
That's not taking shots at certain players because Giannis chose to re-up and sign that supermax contract
when he
did
could have
not-
left.
When he could have left. So that's not taking shots at players because it's just like he chose to stay there. Some players chooses to take their own, like we talked about Kevin Durant, chooses to take their legacy or destiny in their own hands. So that's not. I don't think that's taking a shot at players.
Okay, but see, you took it. You're looking at it from a very professional and respectable, right, perspective. There's another side of that where it's like,
well, I know
they ran.
Crazy. Yeah,
exactly.
The crazy.
They ran.
Yeah, I get what you're
they
saying.
ran.
Yeah.
They don't want to face their problem.
Yeah, I get it.
They don't want
all
to
that nonsense.
Exactly.
This is real hoop talk. We're not talking about all that.
Of course. Oh, trust. The idea that Giannis, especially when you look at when he first got there, their record and the way they're playing, to look at where they are now, he said, "Yo, I'm good. We gonna handle business in Milwaukee, mind you." So it's not even just like he trusts the organization. You trust the city, and you take that chance of nobody signing for big time in free agency. It ain't like he in LA. It ain't like he in New York. It ain't like he in Miami. He's in Milwaukee. It's not, and that's no shade of Milwaukee. But come on now, son tells me that ain't the hottest free agency market. So to still know that,
homegrown,
right now, obviously,
man.
he got the bag. So I definitely ain't feeling too bad for him. But it's like, hey, that's confidence in yourself, saying like, yo. Don't matter who's on other teams.
And I said,
good.
It's crazy because I made an Instagram post on my page, A-Kiss NBA, and I was talking about me personally. I was just like, I didn't think Giannis can be the number one option on a championship caliber team. But I said it's not what I believe; it's what Giannis believes. And if he believes in himself, he's going to sign that supermax contract. He's going to prove everybody wrong, and that's what he did.
And
he signed that contract, and he proved everybody wrong. And also, we gotta really talk, like you said, you talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a team that they made key trades to get Drew Holiday. They also drafted really well. Giannis, Chris Middleton, even Jabari Parker, who suffered 2 torn ACLs. Imagine if Jabari Parker stayed healthy. So it's just kind of like we got to give credit to Milwaukee being a small team. And to be honest, people talk about Philadelphia. The real trust the process is in Milwaukee. That's the real trust. That's the real trust the process. If we would look at it, they were like 15-67 1 year. Like they are the real drafted homegrown players. They are the real trust the process. The trust the process is in Milwaukee, and that's what we just saw with Giannis, and that's what we just saw with Chris Middleton winning this championship.
But you know what it was though with Milwaukee? They were quiet. That's what they were low key. It wasn't like they was screaming out. We about to do this, we about to do that. They were just low key. And then all of a sudden, bam, now look where they at, right?
Yeah.
And I think not having that type of pressure definitely helped them in the long run.
Small market team, yeah.
Exactly. Even that, being a small market team, you know what I'm saying, maybe not getting as much love and as, much shine, even with an international superstar. You just kind of remain low key.
But Giannis kind of like, he wasn't a lottery pick. Giannis developed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He improved over time. Even a lot of times people talk about like, his weaknesses in his game and his skill set, because like we talk about like he's a wing player and he plays on the perimeter. You saw it tonight. That's what I said. This was the first time I've never seen Giannis play this way in my life before. Like I've never seen him play this way, a complete game, and it was just kind of like he was making his free throws under pressure in a game 6. It's just like, and then we've never seen a player in the history of the NBA with this type of motor that Giannis has, and that's what makes him special. And it's kind of like, you know what? Even if he never develops a legit wing skill set, when we talk about operating and scoring at the second and third level consistently, he may not need to, because his athleticism, his motor is just so insane. He's such a freak of nature. He may not even need to. And he still may end up, before it's all said and done, possibly a top 15 and maybe even push into a top 10 player of all time, just on the fact of his motor and athleticism. So it can be scary. And if you look at this situation with the Milwaukee Bucks, right now, they just won a championship. And you know what happens when a team wins a championship? They become dangerous because they know how to win. And now we may be looking at this situation with, even if the Nets come back healthy or the Philadelphia Sixers come back healthy, or, teams make trades or Miami Heat, whatever happens, we may be looking at the Bucks. I don't think they're going to win back-to-back, but we may be looking at the Bucks as the next dynasty when we talk about like the next San Antonio Spurs, a dynasty that doesn't win back-to-back championships, but a dynasty that may win
every other year.
In the next 5 years, may have 2 championships.
Yeah.
And then
watch this. I mean, their best player is 26.
That's what I'm saying.
Their best player is 26,
That's
and he
what I'm
just
saying.
signed a crazy contract. He's there for
what
a while.
That's why I said the next 5 years we may be looking back in this like, yo, the Milwaukee Bucks is really the next dynasty when we talk about like the next San Antonio Spurs, where they may not win back to back, but they may
ain't
win.
Going nowhere.
They may win 2 championships,
Yeah.
2 more championships in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
That's scary to think about.
And the chemistry is there.
Yeah,
I mean, with their second best player in Chris. I mean, he's been there for a while too.
and Chris 27, 20. How old is Chris?
And he's not up there like in terms of like age, but I don't think he's as young as Giannis. But he's not, he's not going anywhere either. Especially seeing what just happened in these finals. But you know what though? It sucks, right? Because there's obviously 2 teams in these finals. The Bucks. Yeah. Shout out to them. Shout out to Giannis. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Drew. No. I'm not saying anything.
There we go.
Wow, I'm not about to.
No, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it.
I wasn't just about to, jump into the Chris Paul conversation, even though we're going to at some point. But
Chris Middleton's 29, by the way.
He's 29?
Yeah.
Not even 30 yet. Yeah.
Man.
Devin Booker, bro. He's here.
We talked about it the last podcast. I was talking about like, yo, I just didn't think he was going to be able to come out and give you another 40-point game. After 2 back-to-back 40-point games, it was just kind of like they needed a team effort. But Devin Booker is here. He's a young superstar on the horizon. But I will say what I would like to see Devin Booker develop over the next, course of his career is like, as great as Devin Booker is, he got to kind of like he has a handle, but if he can get that handle better where he can blow by defenders a little easier, because sometimes, he'll get caught up at, with Chris Middleton will stay with him or Drew Holiday will stay with him.
Yeah.
So if he can develop that more, it's really going to be hard for players to defend him. But I feel for Chris Paul, man.
To get that close, and just,
Yeah, I feel for him.
Because, I mean, whether you think, and look, this obviously is the night the Bucks won, so I don't really want to get into early prediction for next year just yet. But whether you think the Bucks are the Suns are going to repeat as Western Conference champions or not, just the idea of Chris being that close to winning the chip, and unfortunately not, pulling through. But can we look, man? For those that have been following No Pump Face from the beginning, man, remember when you said that if Chris does win the championship, that you were gonna have something to say. Can we know what it was? Myself included, y'all. I have no idea what it was.
If Chris Paul to me is the most all around best point guard in history of the game. When we talk about just all around skill set, when we talk about offense, being a 3-level scorer, having a floater, basketball IQ, handle, passing ability. Then we talk about, in his prime, being a lockdown defender as well. When we look at the point guards, the greatest point guards in the world, and the first 3 that comes off the top of my head, of course, is Magic Johnson, Stephen Curry, and is Isaiah Thomas. So those 3 guys, when we start looking at the nitty-gritty of things, when we talk about skill set, when we talk about some of the weaknesses in their games, Chris Paul doesn't have any weaknesses in his game when we talk about all-aroundness. When we talk about like Stephen Curry, you can point out the defense. Magic Johnson, you can point out the handle and shot-making ability. And even Isaiah Thomas, you can point out the defense as well. So it's just kind of like you can't point out certain things in Chris Paul's game that you can point out in those 3. So that's what I'm saying. If he would have won this championship, a legitimate argument could be made that, to start a franchise with and to pick a point guard to start your franchise with, a legitimate argument could be made that you could pick Chris Paul over those 3 guys, and he could have been in that conversation of like, there's some people that think Magic Johnson is the best point guard of all time. There's some people that think Isaiah Thomas is the best point guard of all time because he beat Magic and Bird and Jordan. And there's some people, this new generation, that think Stephen Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. But if you have an all-around game and the best all-around point guard in the history of the game in the NBA, which I think Chris Paul is, and if he would have won a championship, you can start having that conversation as well with Chris Paul.
Yeah, man, that's going to unfortunately be the biggest knock for him. I mean, everything that you talked about too, which is straight up like talent and skill. But obviously, when we have these conversations and takes and debates and whatnot, people are going to bring up resume, which I mean, obviously makes sense, But those other 3 guys, not only do they have a chip, they have multiple chips. You know what I'm saying? So that just makes it even worse when you put them in that category. But I mean, look, I definitely hear you. And to me, it was never a thing of like whether or not I didn't want Chris Paul. I didn't have him in my top 3, but just championships really is like, I mean, as you know by now, the way how I feel about him. But, I mean, in terms of passing the eye test, one thing I will say too, though, his probably only weakness that comes to mind is probably the size. I mean, obviously Isaiah was small. Magic, right? That's what Magic. I know, obviously Magic was, pretty big for a point guard. Steph, he's not 6 feet flat, but just the idea if he's a little bit taller, yeah.
6'3".
But I mean, yeah, it sucks because, like you said, Chris pretty much had, everything when it came to the Arsenal. But reaching that, goal of just winning the chip, man,
we talk about this all the time. It's just certain players that a championship would do so much for their legacy.
Oh yeah,
and Chris Paul is one of those players. Just like Russell Westbrook was one of the players, and before tonight, Giannis Antetokounmpo was one of those players. And another player that's on the clock is one of my favorite players in the game. He's on the clock now because now it's just kind of like we're seeing. I'm not gonna say they rivals or anything, but you're seeing like great players, win championships and stuff like that, who you're supposed to be, because a lot of people say you're better than, and to me, he is better than. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, what you gonna do?
Hey,
you got to get a championship. You got to get it done before your career is over, and to be honest, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, especially now that Giannis,
especially now.
Like, if Giannis didn't win it this year, then you think to yourself, okay, he hasn't won one, so now you might have a little bit more time.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think, and that's how I feel about number 13, and I think that he's phenomenal. I think he's a top 5 player in the game, but it's just like at the same time, as great as he is, it's going to be people that are going to legitimately say now, it's just like, I can't put him over Giannis. Giannis got a ring. Giannis led his team to the NBA Finals. Giannis was the best. Giannis got a 50-point game in the Finals. Giannis got it done, didn't come up short. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's going to be a lot of things where now you can't really come back for that until you see it done in the playoffs. So it's just kind of like, that's what rings do. And that's what happens and that's when we talk about like legacy and stuff like that. Allen Iverson, another guy. It's so many players, man. We could just have this conversation about.
But you know why it's going to be a little bit scary for James, especially next year, is because, I mean, you mentioned Allen Iverson, right? But when you look at James's roster next year, and you compare it to AI's, AI's
of course,
right? And I know you weren't comparing their chances, but just the idea of like, all right, AI had to face Kobe and Shaq Dolo. We get it. Okay.
No, I'm just saying it's certain. I was using AI for example. It's certain players that if Allen Iverson had a ring, I'm telling people right now, if Allen Iverson had a ring, he's a top 10 player of all time in my book. If he had a ring, just one ring. When we talk about culturally, when we talk about his size, when we talk about his skill set, it's just kind of like Allen Iverson was Steph and Curry before without the shooting ability or whatever, and Kyrie he was like the pioneer before those guys came. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like. That's what I'm saying, man. It's just like that's what certain championships do for just one players. But if they don't get that championship, it's hard to have those conversations. You can have a conversation about like skill set and talent wise and stuff like that.
Right.
But you also,
the resume portion comes into play at some point, regardless of how talented you are.
Exactly.
And it sucks too, because sometimes, like, even if the most talented player in the world, right, were to play with just straight mids and still didn't win. You got to get some chips. Especially if it's at least just one. Just getting that level of, all right, you have at least, like Dirk. Dirk has at least one, Dirk has that one chip.
And that run was
and it's
crazy.
That run was crazy. Even AI, like the idea of like making it to the finals and
even though he lost
that game, getting that game against LA
and that team that he was on.
Yeah, but it's you gotta win the. I mean, and that team, for the record, was a lot better than what people give them credit for. But yeah, I mean, just the idea that you got to win chips. And I mean, unfortunately, I think that probably could be an episode one day too. Like guys that who may not have a chip, but definitely deserve like respect in terms of just all time rankings. But I don't know, man. It just sucks. I know Book is I think going to have another chance at a title at some point in his career. Obviously, he's still young. But Chris, man, I don't know. I'm definitely rooting for him and Phoenix and Monty, right? Like the whole Phoenix roster, bro. I think they shocked a lot of people. Again, for the record, y'all, I had them finishing third in the West. To me, but yeah, I mean, it was one hell of a series. I I'm already looking forward to the next to next season. But man, we just had to give Giannis his damn respect. Cap or no cap, the Milwaukee Bucks will win the finals again next year.
No, that's a cap, man. I don't think it's we talked about this earlier in the episode. That's a big cap. I'm gonna be honest.
That's tough.
The Milwaukee Bucks, as great as they are, and as great as they were this season, they benefited for a lot of circumstances. And as great as Giannis is, and he went on this crazy run, and what he did in the NBA Finals cannot be ignored.
Right. And I know you're not. I know you're not looking past it. I know you're not just saying.
I'm not looking past that.
Right.
But I'm here. I'm here to tell you, if Kyrie Irving does not get hurt in that series, the boys are done in 5. It's just as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. And Kevin Durant almost still beat them boys with a one-legged James Harden. Almost beat them boys.
Yeah.
Literally one inch away from on a 3-point line of sending them boys home. So imagine a healthy James Harden, a healthy Kyrie Irving, and they're going to actually build and get the right pieces around them because they're going to have an offseason now. So it's just kind of like they're going to have an offseason. So it's going to be a little bit different. They're not going to just be picking up guys on the street and in the buyout market. They're going to have an offseason and get the right defensive players around them. And then it's just like they're going to also sign players as well, sign key veterans that are going to want to come and play with the Brooklyn Nets. So I look at that. I say, but
cap.
The Atlanta Hawks are also here. They're one piece away. Yeah. That's another team. Nobody knows what if Damian Lillard goes to Philadelphia and teams up with Joel Embiid.
Never know. Of course, I mean, obviously, if trades happen, then obviously, the prediction changes. Yeah. But just right now,
Lakers. They're getting a third option this year. I don't know who it's going to be.
I was going to say, we're going to say a name?
I hope it should be DeMar DeRozan. That's who. That would be the perfect pickup for them. They're going to get a third option. I don't know who it's going to be. It may be a crazy trade, maybe like a signing trade with DeMar DeRozan, but they're going to get somebody that can put the ball in the basket in the half-court setting and can take some pressure off of LeBron James. They're going to get a third star. The Clippers. What about the Clippers? Oh, Kawhi's out for it, probably like a year.
Yeah.
Probably. Damn.
I mean,
the Warriors. What if the Warriors do something? Healthy Klay Thompson maybe come back.
What if the Nuggets? Wait, Tom, weren't you the one telling me that you don't believe in the Warriors?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying. But I'm just using that for example. You don't know the Warriors got 2 lottery picks. What if they call Philly up and like, yo, we want Ben Simmons. We got 2 lottery picks. We got James Wiseman, and we give you a future first round pick, and you get Ben Simmons. And you swap out Ben Simmons for a Draymond Green. It gets serious then. It gets serious.
Swap out as in like trade him? Like
you swap out Ben Simmons for Draymond Green and a couple picks if they want that.
Okay.
It gets serious.
So I'm saying, so you're saying send Ben to Golden State for Dre, James, and a couple picks?
I'm not saying I don't know what the package would be, but I'm just saying like if you
Golden State's not doing that.
I'm just saying if you swap out whatever the case is, if the Philadelphia Sixers want Draymond Green or whatever, and they want and the Warriors get Ben Simmons, I'm saying Ben Simmons with Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, it's
they're not doing that. They're not doing
scary.
that. They're not doing that. They're not going to give up Draymond for Ben Simmons. Because then you got to remember too, it's almost like what Marcus Smart is to the Celtics. It's like the Warriors don't view Draymond from just a simple talent, right? He really is the heart of that team. Steph and Klay need Draymond, right? Like, I definitely think that they can have some success without him. Don't get me wrong. And I know Draymond is bigger than just the stats, but like they need that dog type of player on that team. And if we had to choose one who's who has more of a dog in him, it's definitely Draymond, especially come playoff time. Like you're going to need that. Every great team kind of has that type of player.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. We don't know what's going to happen, but all I know is just like even the Denver Nuggets. Like, they're tough. It's so many. It's just like, I just hope we have a healthy playoffs next year and a healthy regular season next year. Because this year was crazy. We lost a lot of stars, a lot of great players. So definitely I'm going to say cap, though. Cap on the Bucks winning back-to-back.
All right. I mean, you brought up a good point too. I mean, going back to the previous episode we did with about the Trailblazers, like their window, like of opportunity. When you got all those teams, right, who have injuries. I mean, the Phoenix Suns kind of took advantage of it.
That's what I said. Phoenix and Milwaukee, they both took advantage. They did what they're supposed to do, and that's what I was talking about when it was both. That's what I was saying. Like in the conference finals in the West and the East, I was looking at the Bucks. I was just like, this is Giannis' best opportunity to win a championship. He's the best player and left in those 4 teams. It's just like, get it done.
Yeah,
go do it, and he got it done. Like this is, and we may look back on this. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? I'm saying they have a potential, can be a potential dynasty, but who knows what? We don't know what's going to happen. What if Golden State? What if not Golden State? What if the Brooklyn Nets run off 2 in a row, or the Lakers win next year, or the Clippers, or who knows? What if the Lakers win next year and then the Brooklyn Nets run off 2 in a row? You know what I'm saying? That's 3 seasons right then and there. Because you gotta believe that the Lakers probably gonna get another one before LeBron retires.
Yeah, but I mean, the crazy thing is, too, even if we're talking just 3 years, Giannis will still be 29.
That's what I'm saying, though.
That's the crazy part. And he'll still
but it's also teams like you don't know what's going to happen with the Boston Celtics. Like, they got 2 studs out there in Boston. I don't trust their organization, but, like, they got 2. Jason Tatum is coming. You know what I'm saying? It's some couple of, even what if Luka Doncic get a play? It's so many things that, like, you don't know. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, that's why you got to go out and get it done with no circumstance. That's why Giannis had to go out and get it done, and they got it done. Yeah. Man, I'm telling you,
you got to enjoy the good times while they're in front of you, because I mean, if you ask like Warriors fans, it's like, you might always think that the winning times are going to last forever.
Man, look
but
at the
sometimes,
Warriors.
That's what I'm saying.
2 years in a row.
Sometimes it just ends. It just ends, and you're not prepared for it. But that's just how the league is. Whether it's injuries, trades, another team, like whatever, you gotta
super teams form.
Yeah, you really never know. You really never know, man. It's something else. But yeah, man, we just had to have this Mercy episode, bro, to acknowledge the fact that the young man in Milwaukee, by the name of Giannis, is in the conversation of best player in the world right now. All right, y'all.
Oh, he hit it with that.
Yeah, I just sneak that in. I just sneak that in the episode. Yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Yeah. What's up, y'all? It's Theus McBee. Make sure you go follow No Pump Fakes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.